So my name is Kari Kumar, and I'm a lecturer in the Faculty of Health Sciences at UOIT. I teach in the nursing program. My background is in microbiology, actually. So I have a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science in microbiology. I've been teaching for about 8 years in higher ed, and over the last couple of years I've gotten really interested in learning more about education itself. And so my current passion is now learning about how to make education more inclusive and more accessible. And that's actually the current focus of my doctoral research. There were a couple of things that took place when I first began teaching in university that got me, triggered my interest in universal design for learning. One of those was that when I first began to teach, I was a very successful student. And I thought, I know exactly what students need to do to succeed, and I know what I liked as a student from my teachers, so this is how I'm going to teach my class. And I quickly realized that that was quite naive, and that my students are quite a diverse group of people. They don't necessarily learn the same way that I like to learn. And I needed to think about reworking my teaching practices to be more inclusive of their different needs. At the same time, I used to teach very large classes, and so I used to get quite a number of accommodation forms from students from the Center for Students with Disabilities. And I wasn't aware of this as a student, that such a center existed, and I really didn't know what these accommodation forms were about. I didn't understand why some of my students requested, for example, extra time on tests. So I felt that there was somewhat of an air of mystery about what this was all about, and I wanted to learn more about the needs of students with disabilities. Several years later, once I began to become more interested in education itself and becoming formally trained as an educator, I decided to take some courses specifically related to students with disabilities, and that's when I became much more enlightened, and that's when I became aware of universal design for learning. And since then, universal design for learning, I would say, is a major component of my teaching philosophy, and it's now also shaped my research interests and activities as well. So UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, is a framework that we can apply towards thinking about how to make education more accessible or inclusive of the needs of our students. So there are various sets of guidelines that can sort of act like a checklist, in a sense, if you will, in terms of how to make your courses more accessible to the needs of your students. So there are various iterations of UDL. The bottom line, though, is that UDL suggests that we should be more flexible and more adaptable for the needs of our students. If we can impart more flexibility and adaptability into the curriculum, into the way that we design and deliver our courses, then that takes the burden of adaptability off the shoulders of our students and essentially puts it into the course. And that really makes a lot more sense, to be as flexible as we can without compromising on the academic rigor of our courses. UDL is important because flexibility, adaptability, these are things that every student is going to appreciate. So all of our students would appreciate different choices with respect to how to demonstrate their learning, for example. And in particular, students with disabilities also can benefit perhaps the most from flexible course design. So this may negate their need to request accommodations as frequently as they would otherwise. So that can be very beneficial. Requesting accommodations and disclosing disability is something that students with disabilities often feel very uncomfortable with. So enhancing the flexibility of our course can help to perhaps alleviate some of that discomfort. And it also demonstrates to all of the students that we have an interest in meeting their needs and that we recognize that they're a diverse group of people. So I think there's a lot of value in that.